Oh, I'll do it.
Yes, lads. Yes, lads. I love the new intro. I hope you all enjoyed that. Alex Hicknett. Welcome back to another Red or Alive podcast. As usual, I'm your host, and we have got lots, as usual, to talk about. Some breaking news earlier today that we'll get to shortly, and who better to talk through it with than the chat and my two regular podcast guests, Benjamin and Rick. Rick, I'll come to you, mate. You're feeling nice and fresh today, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. It's been a long day, I think, but it don't help with the heat as well. But yeah, one too many beers last night in the heat, and it was a bit of heat stroke because you got no hair. Don't protect you, does it? Just goes straight in your head, mate. But yeah, I'm good, man.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, our podcast panel is quite follically challenged. Benjamin, you've been moaning at me all day about the heat, and you're wearing a jumper. So you're a hypocrite. But how are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, good, mate. It's not too bad. Been busy with the Reds, hasn't it? It's good to have a little day off. I know there's been a little bit of news, but yeah, it's been good. I just want to say, look, thanks very much to Gav from Talking Reds, who helped us out with the intro. We'll get him on soon. We owe him a favour. And yeah, done really well on that. But how are you, Mark? All good?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm not built for this humidity, so I'm very welcome call today. It's been... been a hot one, but yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to play catch up on the news. Obviously, we were going to go live on Saturday, but unfortunately, life is going to live at times, so we had to put it back. So apologies for that for people that were waiting. But we're ready now to have a chat, and we'll just go through some of the comments early. So Ali, big up, mate. Thank you for joining. Nathan, how are you, mate? Kieran, Connor. Matt, thank you for joining, lads. So, the first bit of breaking news that came out earlier today, I'm sure most of you have seen it, but for those that haven't, it's now come out through the reputable usual channels, Fabrizio, Joyce, Lewis Steele, etc. Jarell Quansah has agreed a move. Liverpool and Leverkusen have agreed on a fee, £30 million with an extra £5 million in add-ons if everything is hit. Represents a pretty good return for the Reds on Jarell Quansah, who obviously debuted last year under the year before last under Jurgen Klopp. Ben, I'll come to you first, mate. Are you a bit surprised to see Quansah leave the football club?
No, not at all. I think especially with his age, he needs the games, doesn't he? Safe to say, he's not really going to get many minutes. Certainly in the big moments, let's be honest, he'd get the cup games and stuff, but I think where he sees himself now being a regular starter for the club. And I think it's a very good move. I think it's an unbelievable deal that, Richard Hughes has managed to pull out. Certainly with the buyback clause. It gives him the opportunity to go and prove himself now, to show the Liverpool fans, because I've been sceptical of him, to be very honest with you. I think he's got quite a lot of mistakes in his game, but he's still a young lad. He's a tall lad, and they're expecting him to, to be a starter. So I think it's a great move for him. Matthias Cunha. Yeah, fuck off. But look, I think it's a really good club as well. Liverpool have obviously done the business with them. Don't be surprised if there's more. I could see maybe some of the youngsters getting over there as well. Maybe the Mortons and stuff. You just never know. I think Morton was linked with them, weren't he, last year?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed. Rick, I mean, it's been suggested, obviously, that this, albeit it's come out as a separate deal, the Quansah name was mentioned during the Wirtz ongoing transfer negotiations that we saw. We all suspected that there might be a player involved, but it would go through separately. The speed in which this has gone through, I mean, in typical Liverpool fashion, this broke, 2 days ago. By Sunday afternoon, the deal's agreed. I mean, do you think this is probably something that has been agreed during the Wirtz deal, or do you think it is genuinely separate? How do you see that structure going?
Yeah, I think we obviously give them first refusal on him during the talks of Wirtz. Give them the opportunity to persuade him to go to them first. if it didn't work, we would then be open to offers from other teams. But like you said, it was done quite quick. What was it, Saturday? It broke a little bit that there's a bid gone in for him, and then obviously Sunday morning it's done. I think it's a decent deal. Listen, it's pure profit. Yeah. So they go straight on the PSR sheet. If people don't understand what that means, is Liverpool can spend not 90 million if they wanted to without over the 3-year period without touching PSR on the pure profit. Under Klopp's last season, I think he played very well, and then I just think when Slot come in, the writing was on the wall really with that Ipswich game where he got dragged off at half time. And I don't think he fully recovered after that Man United game. After that, I think the writing was definitely on the wall then. Slot didn't really trust him, brought him on when games were pretty much sewn up by more than one goal score lines. But listen, the best thing about the deal is the buyback. I mean, you're selling them up to 35, including add-ons. Say there's a buyback clause in there for 50, 55 million later on in a few years' time. Obviously, the buyback will run out. It's only for a certain amount of years. And yeah, say you have to pay 60 mil in a couple of seasons if he's reached his potential that the club thought he had, the highest ceiling that everyone thought he was going to turn out to be. Then yeah, why not? He'd still be homegrown. He's English. Bring him back in a few years if he's reached the potential, and then we'll go from there really. But I mean, it's a good move. German football's a good league for him to learn and to develop him. Bayer Leverkusen ain't the worst team in that league. Obviously, they won the league, not the season just finished, the one before that. They finished second, I believe, this season. So it's still a good team. New manager, new players. Wirtz has gone, Frimpong's gone. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he develops there. I'm sure we keep a close eye on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Some early questions about Alexander Isak. We will absolutely get to the number 9 talk very shortly. Don't you worry about that, including obviously Alexander Isak. But as Luke knows the score, guys, girls, please do hit like, subscribe on the channel. It helps us massively. Yeah, Ben, I mean, final piece on Quansah. I mean, the deal itself looks good. You know, the money looks good. The buyback looks good. I think probably as expected, there's somewhat of a mixed reaction with regards to his departure. I think, you know, he had the breakthrough season under Jurgen Klopp. Looked like he was going to be a real prospect. I think if we're being brutally honest, this last 12 months, and like Rick mentioned, the Man United away game, obviously you don't want to beat a young kid with a stick when he makes a mistake, but it does seem like he's struggled to kind of move past that. He's been a little bit shaky when he has played. So I think ultimately he's probably struggled to really nail down a position in a slot team over the last 12 months. Kind of how do you assess his time on the slot? You know, he got hooked at Ipswich in the first game of the season. I think we all said, oh, okay, that's not a great sign. Yeah, was brutal. Signed a new deal. So then you thought, okay, maybe the kid's got, you know, a bit of an opportunity to turn it around. Then he's leaving the football club. I mean, how do you assess it? Do you think Liverpool have pulled the trigger a bit prematurely? Do you think the writing's been on the wall since Ipswich? Do you think it's the right decision, all in all, that he has been sold?
Yeah, I do. Look, if you start at Liverpool, it doesn't matter age. You know, if you're good enough, you're old enough, aren't you? At the end of the day, I just think, like, how's he going to break in? I don't think he's good enough to be a starter at Liverpool. Nowhere near it. You know what I mean? And when he comes on, you can feel the nerves. I'm nervous when I watch him. You know, I've been there at, like, Ipswich. I was there at Man United and stuff, and he started fucking around with it. It was him who gave the ball to Fernandes, weren't it? He scored that shot from, like, the halfway line. Yeah. Little things like that. And I think you've got to remember, Liverpool's spotlight and pressure to play for our club is huge. So I think he needs to come away from the spot, similar to Nunes, come away from the spotlight and just reset. And I'm sure there'll be decent enough players. I know people probably laughing about Nunes, but I think it's the same thing. The mistakes and that get on top of these players. And, you know, at the end of the day, certainly Quansah, he's a young lad, so I think it's a good move for him. And a move that he couldn't turn down. Certainly, I'd imagine that club will look after him. You know, look how good. And you've seen the likes of what that club's about when Florian Wirtz has left and Jeremy Frimpong. So it looks a great club that's going to look after him. I think it'll be good for him. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's listen, it's one of them, you know,
an error can be so detrimental to a young kid. I think you nail on the head. I think what the worst thing he can do is go and sit on Liverpool's bench for another season, not play football, gets in his head more. I think the fact that he's going to go and get to experience a new league, a new way of living. He's a young kid. He's going to get to go and experience a new culture. Football club's great, as you said, correctly with how they've handled the Wirtz and Frimpong deals. They look like a brilliant club, don't they? So, yeah, listen, all the luck in the world to him. I generally hope we operate his buyback clause because that means he's done excellently well. But, all the love in the world to him, and I look forward to seeing how he progresses at Leverkusen. But obviously, his departure will leave probably what was already a needed addition in the squad anyway at centre-back, but certainly accelerates that need now he's gone for Liverpool to bring in a centre-back. And also, it's been noted the homegrown element of it as well. Now, I've pinned this comment here because this is the name on the lips of the fans, the journos. It obviously broke the last 48 hours that Liverpool were looking to intensify their interest in Marc Guehi. Rick, I know it's not the sexiest name that people would have anticipated, but when you kind of really think about him, you think about what he could bring to Liverpool. It'd be a very, very shrewd signing, wouldn't it? I mean, if they can get him, especially for the money that they're letting Quansah go for.
Yeah, I think the price has to be right. I think I'm seeing people say 50 million's about right for him. No, it's not. Not with a year left on his contract. I mean, if you get him anywhere between 30 up to, with add-ons, to 40, I think it's a decent deal. I think any higher than 40 mil, I think we need to stay away from it. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's Palace's captain. Won the FA Cup with them this season, brought their first trophy in, major trophy. England international. For me, he's probably one of England's best centre-halves, just due to the people that they've got there. But yeah, I just think any up to 40 with add-ons would be the max I'd go. And like, the only reason why I could see the club potentially going higher than that is because of the homegrown status. Obviously, we've let Quansah go. There's rumours that Elliott's going. That's another homegrown out. So we just got to be careful on that front because the more you get out, the less you can register for the start of the season, player-wise. So, but yeah, he's a good player. This talk about he don't want to come to Liverpool if he's not guaranteed starter. I mean, look at what Kostas' comments recently saying that even if you're a bench player at Liverpool, you still play 20 to 25 games a season with all the competitions that we're in, all the games we play. So yeah, I know it's a World Cup year. It'd be interesting what happens with Konate, with Guehi coming in. Do we put a bit of pressure on Konate there to sign the deal? But listen, it is a good signing if the price is right. I wouldn't just go gung-ho on the price.
Yeah, really good point. Ben, I know you're a huge fan of Marc Guehi. We spoke about him earlier in the season, actually. I think there's been some rumours throughout the year, loose links that he could be one that Liverpool looked at and that he'd be interested in, in signing for Liverpool, the opportunity come. To echo what Rick said, the reports are that, 2 potential stumbling blocks to a deal, game time and fee. Liverpool looking more in the region of 30, 35, Palace more kind of 50. I mean, do you see these being stumbling blocks? I mean, I'd be surprised if Guehi turned the Liverpool move down if it is there. But, do you see this being a stumbling block? And do you think this is a deal that will get done?
Oh, yeah, I think this will be done, yeah. I could see this being done relatively quick. The hold-up is probably with regards to the sales part of this sort of transaction because they want to bring one in straight off the back of it. I think it's just a hold-up's been Quansah because obviously the tournaments, the under 21s in it with England. But I expect this to be done. I think it'll be about 30. Fucking hell. I think about 35 with some add-ons is about right. I don't think it's a stumbling block. And you got to remember, the journos like to get the clicks, don't they? He's not going to be saying to Liverpool, I'm not coming unless you start me. Fucking hell, what he's going to say that to the 2 centre-halves who've just come off the back of winning the title. No way. Don't believe it. Look, don't get me wrong. It's a crucial season for him. There's a World Cup at the end of it. So, at the end of the day, I don't think there's any issues here. He is not turning Liverpool down, and the only club he's turning down is fucking Arsenal. So Mikel Arteta can get used to that. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's top quality. I think he reads the game really well, and he adds something. What for instance, Quansah doesn't have. He's going in there at the moment. Would be as the third choice centre half, and look, I'm telling you, he will be banging on the door to start at Liverpool with Van Dijk. I'm telling you, he's not as bad as people think. At the end of the day, he's all the goodness that comes from Crystal Palace starts with him at the back. Do you know what I mean? He's a massive part for them. He's the captain. He's a leader. And, at the end of the day, if we, for instance, took Van Dijk out the side, are people confident with Konate leading the side? I'm a little bit unsure. Boss player, but he's certainly not a leader for Liverpool at the minute anyway. I think Marc Guehi would be a cracking player. What are you going to pull a player that was, they rejected 70 million, weren't it, from Newcastle last year?
Yeah, and January.
Yeah, if Liverpool could pull him for 40 million quid with add-ons included, I think that's a serious sign. And then look, they could say what they want about Paris being a hard negotiator, but don't expect Richard Hughes to bend over for anyone. He's a busy fella at the minute, but he's fucking exhausted.
Yeah, he's been a busy fella, old Pierce Brosnan, hasn't he? Yeah, I always think, we can obviously watch these players, but I mean, I think anybody that pretended they watched a lot of Palace last year would be lying, unless they're obviously, of course, Palace fans. I think sometimes a good metric, Rick, is to look at how fans of the club react to the player. I mean, not that we needed validation with Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong. We knew what players we were getting, but you look at the reaction from the club itself, the fan base, it was genuine, heartfelt, joy that they were moving on to bigger and better things, but they're obviously devastated to lose them. They're talking about the impact they had on the football club. And it gives you this feeling that you're signing superstars, you're signing good people as well as good players. Yeah, I've noticed the kind of Palace reaction to the Marc Guehi news. It's not a surprise. I think everyone knows he's going to be leaving this summer. But they seem to be talking about him in legend status already, Marc Guehi. And not someone when you talk about centre-backs at the Premier League, he gets talked about in the bracket of the best. It's the Van Dijks, the Salibas, the Gabriels, the Konates. He could be a serious player for Liverpool, couldn't he? I mean, not just on the pitch, but off it as well.
Yeah, I mean, Palace fans love him. He's the first captain to win them to lift the major trophy for him. He obviously represents them on the international stage highly as well for England. And it's mad to still think he's only 24. It seems like he's been around for years and years. And to get for Liverpool to get someone into that caliber, like an international player who plays pretty much standard for them, captain of another Premier League club who's just won a major trophy, it would be a massive signing for us, because if you look at Liverpool's options, normally they're just squad status players. If you can bring someone at that level in to be a backup or someone alongside Van Dijk, because that's what it is. It's whoever partners Van Dijk in it at Konate.
He's definitely England's best centre half, though. Who would you say is better than him?
I think Joe Gomez is a better player if he stays fit. If he stays,
shoes on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. If Joe Gomez was fit, he'd be the main centre half for England, in my opinion. But he's not. But Guehi would be there as well. Like, you could partner both of them together for England. Who else? I see Liverpool fans wanting Branthwaite from Everton, but why? For the price tag that he'd go for, I don't think he's better than Guehi.
I think Marc Guehi is England's best centre half for me, because I can't stand England, but all I could hear when the Euros was on is how good he was.
But,
he's now the face on all the fucking other opposition's podcasts, saying what a signing that'll be for Liverpool. So that tells you it all, doesn't it?
But do you know what also makes it a good signing? Because we all know how FSG operate. They buy players with the selling value later on down the line. You bring him in for 40 mil at 24 years old.
Perfect.
Say 27, 28 in the peak of his, as a centre half in the peak, England international. You're getting more than what you paid for him. That's how FSG would see it. That's how they always see with their signings. I'm not saying that's what happened with Wirtz's signing because of the money we paid for him, but every other signing FSG, mate, it's always looking at the long term. You can make money off of someone. But yeah, like it will be a very good signing if we brought him in. I mean, I do think Konate needs to kick up the arse from someone. He hasn't had that level. Because let's be honest, when Van Dijk has not played for Liverpool at centre half, we see it a couple of games this season. We rested Van Dijk, I think 1 or 2, and we see it in the France squad as well for Konate. He couldn't organise a piss up in the brewery. Konate, like as a leader, he was shocking in the French games. I think he got dragged off in one of them games, and they played it out to fitness concerns. But he was shocking in that game. And even in, was it Brighton away that we didn't play Van Dijk? It was Konate and was it Quansah in that game? And it's just Konate was all over the place. He couldn't organise anything. But again, he's only got a year left, and Guehi might give him a kick up the arse. Might progress Konate a little bit further in his development. Like he's 24, 25 Konate now. So it might help him in his development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we'll go on to Konate in a moment. Again, Luke, you're doing my job for me here, mate. Smash the like, and subscribe. Absolutely. I mean, look, Ben, I want to throw one more thing at you. Marc here, great mate of the channel. Shout out, Marc. He's mentioned Branthwaite. Listen, me personally, I'm a huge fan of Branthwaite. I think he's got I think the difference is Marc Guehi, we could talk about being the Konate replacement. I think Branthwaite, under the right guidance, could be Liverpool's Van Dijk replacement. Not as good as Van Dijk, of course, but I think Branthwaite has got potential to go to the very top. I think he's a top talent. But the thing with Branthwaite, and this is why he's not getting called up to England, is that he is not having the regular opportunity to play at the top level. And there is a difference about playing at Everton and playing in a low block team and not playing Europe, not playing international football. Branthwaite needs to go and have the experience under the lights in Europe, under the lights on the World Cup, in the Euros, in the tough games, in the games where he's going to have to play high line, in the games against Kylian Mbappe. He's going to need those. He's going to have to do that litmus test before he can be mentioned, in my opinion, with Branthwaite. But I think he's got all the tools. But
the question what Mark said, if Branthwaite's available, he could be available, but he won't be available for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark just hates Guehi, so just ignore Mark.
Yeah,
mate, don't get the but yeah, I mean, last one on Guehi. I mean, Ben, it's very difficult to see Liverpool paying 50 million, is it? I mean, it does seem like a compromise is going to become over the next couple of weeks. Where do you see his actual place being? We'll move on to Konate in a second. Do you think he will come in, and do you think he will genuinely challenge for a first team spot in this Liverpool squad if Konate extends?
Yeah, I do, because every player goes through a phase, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And also, you've got to remember, Liverpool can't just have Van Dijk playing every single game. Fucking hell, he played nearly every game last year, Van Dijk, so he needs to have a bit of a rest. And let's be honest, over the years, a lot of the time we've had Gomez fucking injured, let's face it. Yeah. So when we've had Quansah and Konate coming in, I've been a bit like, oh, fucking hell, it's one of them. Put Marc Guehi and Konate together, I think that'd still be a phenomenal centre-back partnership if Van Dijk needs a rest. So, look, I think it's a deal Liverpool are going to wrap up relatively soon. I think you see more and more things, from the things that are coming out now is that he's told them he wants to go. Palace are not going to... Look, what Liverpool did for Palace at Anfield, with the Guard of Honour, that'll go a long way. And they'll realise what a move that is for him. He deserves to go and play for a top club. I'm not having it that he's, some people don't rate him. I just think, you haven't fucking watched Palace. Do you know what I mean? Because he's one of the key components for them to do well. And, fair play to him. And I think he'll be a cracker player for Liverpool.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a deal that I really hope gets concluded in the next couple of weeks. I don't think you can underestimate having a young... Call him a leader already. He's a captain.
He'll get it as well, Matt. He'll know how much it is to play for Liverpool.
Absolutely, he's a good lad by all accounts as well, and I think that's a big part of building building a solid team. Is you can't be putting helmets in the dressing room. You just can't be doing it. And I think on and off the pitch, I think it'd be a great signing. I think it certainly ticks that market opportunity term that Liverpool like.
You know what he looks like as well, Matt? He'll look like that signing that in a year or two's time we'll all be going, what a fucking signing that was for Liverpool.
Someone made a comment. Apologies, I can't find it because they're coming in quite quickly. But somebody, in shout out to the person that said it, Matip vibes. I think it was Delwyn said it. Albeit I know he's about 4 inches in height. But with regards to possibly how he's coming in and the stature of the player and the status of the player, I think it's a very good comparison. Joel Matip came in as a steady Eddie. Joel Matip was huge in Liverpool winning major trophies. And Joel Matip was not on anyone's lips in the year that he came to Liverpool. There wasn't Man City knocking the door down for him. Arsenal and Chelsea weren't. Bayern Munich weren't. Under the radar, solid player, and ended up being a top centre-back for Liverpool. So I think that's a great shout. Look, it's naturally leads on to, and obviously people are mentioning it in the comments now. Bit of an elephant in the room at this point is Ibrahima Konate. Top centre-back, brilliant player for Liverpool. Look, he's got a year left, and I think people are getting a lot of concerns regarding the reports that are coming out. Real Madrid tapping him up, Trent version 2 coming up. People talking about Marc Guehi being, potentially the replacement. I personally don't believe that. Rick, the Konate situation. I mean, the reports are that he's asking for 200 grand a week to re-sign at Liverpool, which in itself is not the same as Trent, as I think Liverpool could offer Trent £1 million a week. I think he was going. Yeah. So, if reports are there to be believed, then not all hope is lost. But how do you see the Konate situation playing out? Do you think Liverpool can get this extension done? Do you think his mind's made up? And what ramifications do you think that has on Liverpool's business this summer with Konate having a year left?
I think it's too late. I think he goes for free. But I'm seeing people saying selling this summer. You can't force him out. You can't force a player to leave. He's got a year left. But what Liverpool can do is if they bring Guehi in, they sit Konate on the bench. It's a World Cup year. He ain't going to want to do that. Konate, he's going to want to start every week so that he can get picked for France in the World Cup. So he's going to... That could force him to leave because it's a World Cup year. But I don't think he signs. I think as a club, we fucked that one up as well as the Trent one, the Van Dijk, Salah one. We left it late. Them two obviously wanted to stay and we got them done. But the Konate one's Trent all over. And he will go for free next season if his agent talks him into it. Because there's more and more what you're seeing these days is players are heavily influenced by their agents and their entourages in terms of what they're supposed to do. He'll get a big signing on fee wherever he goes, PSG or Real Madrid. The 200 grand a week, I don't believe is true what he's asking for. Because if he's asking for that, Liverpool will pay it. Because you tell me who's a better centre half out there around the age bracket of Konate that you think you can sign for less than 200 grand a week. There ain't.
More to it. There's more to it.
Oh, no, 100% there's more to it. It can't be just 200 grand because if it's 200 grand a week, if you say you go to sign Bastoni, he's gonna want 200 grand a week coming in. You go to sign, I don't know, Lukeba from Leipzig, he's gonna want close to 150 to 200 because we've just won the Premier League. These players now know, they're winning trophies here. They know what they're worth. Konate knows what he's worth. It's more than the way something else has gone on, or he wants something else promised to him. I just don't think the club will do it. We've seen that Edwards and Hughes ain't ones to be messed around with. We see it. You see how the club's acted with the way Trent's gone. It was just a little 3-line Twitter tweet that he's gone.
I've just given him a word. Swat.
Yeah. But yeah, there's more to the Konate situation than what's being played out in the media with 200 grand. If that's what he's asking for, just pay and get them signed the new deal. But it's not. There's something else there.
Jen, you've just missed the Quansah talk. But just to summarise it, I think we all think it's a great move for everyone involved. Hopefully, we said his buyback clause gets activated. It means he's doing a very good job at Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah, Ben, it is a tough one, isn't it? It's a situation a club doesn't want to find themselves in. obviously we're talking about being on the other side of it with Marc Guehi at Palace. I think Liverpool are in a stronger position where they can financially afford to let people leave on free transfers. But I think the precedent it sets and the message it sends out is not one that we really want to be putting out in the market for players. Look, I know you hear whispers, you hear stuff now and then. There were some whispers that the Konate deal may have taken a positive turn at the back end of May. Fabrizio Romano earlier in the season was confident that Konate was going to extend, and that's not happened. I mean, do you get positive vibes that Konate could extend? Do you think that someone has got in his ear? How do you think this plays out? And again, ramifications on the market this summer, because they're going to have to think about that. How do you think Liverpool reacts to the situation that they're in with Quansah going, but also the Konate situation?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, most people's attention hasn't been on Konate because there's been so much stuff going with the incomes coming into the club. But where it's going to start heating up is now, because Liverpool get this Kerkez thing sorted this week. Marc Guehi, I think, won't be far behind, in my opinion. I don't think that rolls on towards the end of the window. I don't think Liverpool want that to be the case. And I don't think Palace do either. So then Konate is going to come under the spotlight. And I just think if he's not giving Liverpool assurances during July, there's a decision the club are going to have to make on it. Because I don't think they're going to let it run out. They may let it run to maybe January, but they'd have to be given some sort of good news. At the minute, it's gone really stale, hasn't it? To be honest, I've not heard anything. I don't know if you boys have either. And I certainly have a few of the lads that, I do know that get snippets and stuff. They haven't said anything either. Which sometimes silence is a good thing, but it's different when it comes to contracts, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I don't think Liverpool want this one to run on. He's either giving commitments or he's going, I think. Maybe it just pushes to January where he could go there. Like I see one of the comments with talks of centre-backs. If Liverpool get Guehi over the line, which I think they will soon, if you see more centre-halves getting linked as well, something's not right. So I'm still 50-50 on it, mate, to be honest. I just don't know. Look, with regards to the 200k a week, I think Liverpool wouldn't be too asked about that. I think that's what you would pay for a championship winning fucking centre-half, wouldn't you? You'd put them on that sort of weight. So for me, it's got to be more to it. I personally think he's hoping PSG coming for him. I know people keep talking about Real Madrid, but he's a boyhood PSG fan. And if he did want to go to PSG, I wouldn't be that asked, to be honest, because he wants to be the captain of PSG, doesn't he? That's his thing. We expected that would send him. We expected he'd want to be the captain later down the line. So if that's the move he wants to do, then fair enough. But Liverpool won't be dicked around on this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Rick, a couple of comments have come up regarding Konate's performances when Van Dijk's not next to him. Now, look, I'm not going to dig anyone out for performing better next to Virgil van Dijk. In my biased opinion as a Liverpool fan, he's the best centre-back that's ever played in the Premier League. He's going to make you look better. However, Virgil van Dijk is coming to the twilight of his career, which makes me sick to say. These opportunities that Konate gets to step up in Van Dijk's absence, to prove that he's worth the wages to take over, to prove that he's going to be worth a potential captaincy that could be up for grabs in a couple of years, and to be the best centre-back in the world, he's not really passed those tests of flying colours, has he? I mean, you talk about the Brighton one, and okay, listen, we can give him a little bit of a pass for the fact that he was probably pissed, as most of the players and the fan base have been. But again, France, if you look at the reaction to the French fans, Konate was poor. His second half form in general, post-injury, was poor. And that kind of situation around Konate sums up his situation, is that when he's fit and when he's playing in a settled centre-back pairing, he's as good as you're going to find out there at football. But when either you pull Van Dijk out of the situation or he gets an inevitable injury, it just seems to upset the apple cart with him. So at what point do Liverpool believe that it's maybe worth moving Konate on? Do they believe that? Do you think that plays a part in the contract talks from the club side? If you were the club in the negotiating position, what would you be saying to Konate?
That you've got the potential to be the number one when Van Dijk goes. That would be my opening line in the contract talks with him. and then move it on from there. But I just think with FSG and the way American owners work in sports, you see it in different sports over there. They don't mind if their player runs down the contract and goes for free. They see it as it's contract fulfilled. You fulfilled what we've bought you for, what we've paid you for. You've done your contract. You can go. That's how Americans see it in sport. But obviously, it's different over here in English football that you need to keep these players under contract to keep their value up. That's why, obviously, the Quansah's got that new deal. That was just to keep his value up to what Liverpool wanted for him. But I honestly don't know what we do with Konate now, because it's just another one of them situations where it could be where we've had a banging summer with the players we're bringing in, but it'll be overshadowed by Konate still ain't signed his new contract. And is he going to go for free? Is he going to do a Trent? But I'll be sitting Konate down. I'll be like, listen, here's what we're going to offer you. This is what it could look like in 2 years when Van Dijk goes. Are you up to the challenge of? Can you prove you're up to the challenge of that to be a leader? Because we haven't seen him lead at centre half. Like I said, in some games he's looked bang average without Van Dijk next to him. For France as well with Saliba, Ibrahima Konate was keeping him at that French team, and Ibrahima Konate was absolute crap as a centre half. But it really depends on Konate's mindset. Like Ben said, he's a PSG boy that wants to captain them someday, lead them out, win trophies with them.
Nothing wrong with that either.
No, there ain't 100%. There's nothing wrong with that. But is there? Can we bring PSG to the table in maybe January or? But like someone put in the comments, I'd rather him go for free if it meant we keep him this season and win another league title. Because I don't believe there's someone out there betting.
Be very careful how he goes about it, because if Liverpool get up with him and sit him on the bench, he ain't starting for France in the World Cup.
He don't get in the World Cup squad. If he don't play enough games this season, his fitness is always a concern with Konate. But I also believe his fitness is a concern because Trent couldn't defend. And he had to cover two positions in most games. He wants to be playing centre back and right back. Konate running around. But if Liverpool do turn on Konate because he don't sign a new deal and leave him on the bench, if we bring Guehi in and maybe one other centre half this summer, he ain't playing for France at the World Cup.
No, he won't.
No. I mean, Ben, I want to throw just quite a simple question at you and at the chat as well. So please put your answers in the chat to this. Now, positionally, it wouldn't make sense because Konate plays on the right side and Van Dijk plays on the left side. But, for example, if we were in a hypothetical situation where Virgil van Dijk left the club this summer and the football club handed the keys to defence to Ibrahima Konate and said, you're going to be the main man and you're going to have a Quansah-type player next to you, would you be content with Konate taking that lead position as Liverpool's top centre-back this summer?
No, he's not. I think he needs, a chief in command next to him, to be honest, mate. And I've seen that a few too many times. When Van Dijk hasn't been there, for instance, Konate is a bit touch and go. But look, that's not to say he can't learn that role. Obviously, Liverpool want to keep the player, and they will be pushing to keep the player. So until then, we can only, back him. At the end of the day, he's still a top centre half. Let's make no mistake about it. We would all say the best centre half pairing in Europe at one point, weren't we?
Do you boys think you can teach that though? How to be a leader? I don't think you can. You've either got it or you ain't.
I don't think necessarily. If we're talking leadership from, a Van Dijk perspective, i.e., presence, the way he commands a team, no. But you can lead by example and performance. And, if Konate wants to be, Konate obviously wants to be that player. And so he should. He's on the brink of cracking the elite level. When we talk about his performance, he's there. He is there. But you have to be able to. The reason that Van Dijk is such a phenomenon is that you could put one of us three next to Virgil van Dijk and he would get you through a game.
Look at Dejan Lovren.
Lovren. I mean, Virgil, Clavan, Virgil's had some serious players next to him that he's had to, pull through. And I don't know if Konate's got that in him. And listen, PSG probably will pay him serious dough. They will. But I think, like any job, you ask for serious dough, you're going to have to show something. And I think Konate, I want him to stay. This isn't me saying I want him to stay, but I think Konate will always be a top support act. I don't think he will ever be your main man at centre back because I just don't think he's at that Virgil level personally. But listen, we'll have to wait and see. I think, if I just ban the question around, do I think he stays? I don't personally. Ben, yes or no?
I think he will stay.
Rick?
No.
Yeah. And I think that pretty much sums up how we're all feeling, right? No, we're not sure. We don't know. But look, I do agree with the sentiment that we can't be letting him go for free. I think that you can't force a player out, but I think Liverpool do have the World Cup trump card to play.
It happens again, you may as well shut the fucking doors.
Yeah, we can't.
No.
We can't be having another player walking into Real Madrid training for free next year. It just can't happen. But yeah, I mean, let's move on. It's another one that we could talk about all day. Another player that we'll be looking at potentially leaving the football club, and we'll talk about his replacement shortly. Andy Robertson. So I did anticipate. Obviously, we did a pod a few days ago, and this was one of the main talking points. There's not been any movement. I was going to say not much, but there's actually not been any movement with regards to Andy Robertson. Seemed to be a huge breaking story. It seemed to threaten to, catch light and ignite really quickly, and it's just somewhat stalled. No confirmation of him going, no confirmation of him staying, nothing from the Atletico Madrid side, nothing from the Liverpool side. Ben, I'll bounce this to you first. Bit of a strange one, wasn't it? It kind of 100 miles an hour and then very quiet. What do you make of that? Do you think, do you still think Robertson's likely to go? Do you think he's maybe having second thoughts? Do you think that was a Tyler Alexander-Arnold special that's backfired with that report? What do you make of the blow up and then the quiet?
I think it's a bit of both. I think Robbo does fancy a change. I also think Quansah, fucking hell, we've been talking about that long. Keep fucking bringing him up. I do think Tyler is trying to force it a little bit, to be honest. I think obviously then all the shit came out and he was trying to get Liverpool to let him go for free and all that shit. And you see in the Joyce article where Liverpool kind of fired back, said, well, we know who their other option is. So either get them to pay off or, in other words, fuck off. No, I still expect him to go. He is on holiday though, isn't he? You see what happened with Florian Wirtz. For all we know though, look, things are going on in the background. If you watch the way Liverpool's business has been going on this year, certainly with the new boys back in, Hughes, Edwards coming back, etc. When a position that we're targeting is going on, there's something going on in the background for a player exiting the club. So I could think you've got to remember in the next few days, you're going to have the Kerkez deal getting done. So I can imagine this week you'll start seeing the Robbo thing start picking up because he's obviously not going to be on holiday for fucking months, is he? So he's been there now, about a week already, I suppose, because he was on Sky Sports, wasn't he, last week? Yeah. So I'd imagine by the end of the week, you'll have him looking for his next move, to be fair. And I do think he will go there. I think Liverpool will get about 10 million quid and they'll let him go. And I think it's a move he's got to take, to be fair. We said this last time, and obviously I won't go into it all again, but yeah, I think it's as horrible as it is to see him going. It's a good move for him. And I can't wait to see the back of Tyler Alexander-Arnold as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sleepy Forest, great name. Yes, we will certainly get on to the number 9 talk very, very shortly. Rick, look, I'm not going to spend too much time on Robbo because it's not much that's happened since then, but it does seem as though maybe Tyler jumped the gun a little bit. Of course, there's still a strong possibility that he does move to Atletico Madrid, but it does feel like maybe that came out a little bit too abrupt, a bit too quickly, didn't it? That story with Atletico Madrid and that he's ready for the move and that it's going fast. Yeah,
because he thought that Liverpool would cave into his demands and let him go for free or for a small fee of a couple million. I mean, Liverpool are going to do no favours to this kid at all. I believe there's another kid that's leaving the academy that's under that Tyler that he's rejected scholarship. We just need to be done with him. Bin this kid off. Do not sign anyone that's related to that agency that he runs. Listen, it could be Mbappe and I still won't touch him if he's his agent. it's just ridiculous. Like I don't get the audacity of the kid that thinks we can just bow down to every demand he makes every time he comes with a player that's at the club. That's at least. But I'm hoping Robertson's told the geezer just to shut up. Show a bit of respect. The things that we've done for Robertson at this club, the trophies he's won there. I don't think Robertson wants to go down that route of having a bit of conflict with Liverpool Football Club. He's loved his time here. Probably the best years of his career he's had here. Like, I get it. It'd be a nice move for him to go to Atletico Madrid at the back end of his career. Obviously, Kerkez is coming in. You still got Costas, who I won't talk about, but he's still at the club. I just think Liverpool want to take a little bit of ownership in this one, just to show we ain't going to be mugged off again by her, and we'll get what we want for him. Like, listen, if you can get your 8 mil back for him, you're laughing. You've got what you paid for Robertson, and you've got everything out of him. But we'll see what happens. I expect Robertson to come back, tell Liverpool he wants to leave, but he won't let the club get mucked around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's. I think there's many moving parts in that one. I think, my only concern was I didn't want Robbo to leave under a strange cloud, which it sounds like he is of the same opinion, which is great. So we won't spend too much time on that because not much has moved on it. But obviously, one thing did move, and that's with regards to the player that will be coming in his place. Who saw this coming? It was Kerkez. They broke on the same day on Friday that we were anticipating, and we got the Florian Wirtz news from Liverpool that he had signed, which obviously we'll mention towards the end. Great. I mean, I think this is the guy that I personally wanted for months to come in. I think he's got everything that Liverpool lack at the moment in fullback. Ben, I know you're a big fan. Richard Hughes got the deal down. He's managed to get him more in the figure that he was looking at. Just a great signing. There's not really much else to say, is there? Just a fantastic signing, and I bet you're delighted that this one is all agreed for his medical next week.
Look, the best left back in the league, and probably one of the top 3 to 4 left backs in Europe, and he's only 21, isn't he? So, the rumours are the deal was done in May, which apparently was something to do with some legal things that they were sorting out. So obviously that's probably why you see them doing them videos, because like I said on the show, I always felt like Liverpool knew about it. I never thought he was doing it without anyone knowing. Everyone's knew he was fucking going to Liverpool. You know what I mean? You've even got his dad on fucking Instagram with the fucking glasses emojis, smoking and shit. Like, he's been fully involved. But yeah, look, I never thought of it as disrespect to Bournemouth, that video, for instance. I've always felt it was done. But yeah, what a signing. Go straight into the team, and Liverpool automatically become better. And he's one of them players that I actually think you'd fucking hate to play against him. He's the type that kicks you non-stop and stuff. You see what he was like to Salah. And another one of City's top targets that Liverpool managed to get.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to go. We went over it on the pod last time about his podcast that he did with his dad, and his emojis, his Twitter posts. I mean, yeah, tongue in cheek. I think we all saw this one coming. But Rick, it's one of those where it's been inevitable. It's been imminent, but it's still nice just to get that confirmation that the deal's been agreed and that he is going to be travelling next week to sign for Liverpool. What's he going to bring to Liverpool that we haven't had maybe last year? As great as we were, the left back position has been a point of contention. Robbo, unfortunately, is only getting older. He's not going to be getting younger. What are we going to see from Kerkez, and what's he going to take Liverpool? What's he going to give to Liverpool that we don't have?
Freshness in that left back position, pace. We see how quick he is. He's the best young left back in world football, apart from Nuno Mendes at PSG. I think Kerkez is right up there. I think the only thing missing from that interview that him and his dad done was his dad sitting there in a Liverpool shirt, really. And then he done that Instagram post, like Ben said, with him with a cigar and the glasses on. Imagine him in Luis Diaz's dad out on the night out after the game.
Carnage.
Them two in town centre. You know what I mean?
Just them two in the fucking away end.
But yeah, it's take away Wirtz. This is the signing we needed to make this season in Kerkez, and we've got him. the best young left back in world football. What more can you say, really? And I'm sure we'll speak more about him over the next couple of days when the medical gets done and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he will certainly get his own. I think he deserves his own podcast. It's going to be a phenomenal signing for Liverpool. He just seems like an Andy Robertson regen from 10 years ago. I think he's going to be phenomenal for Liverpool. I mean, just before we jump on to this, I know everybody, I'm excited to talk about the number 9 situation, but I just want to give mention to a bit of news that came out earlier. I wouldn't call it breaking news, but something that came out earlier, and that is with regards to Harvey Elliott. Now, quite a reputable outlet has said that Brighton are looking very strongly at moving for Harvey Elliott. I think, again, I'd be amazed if Harvey Elliott's a Liverpool player at the start of the season. Ben, on a bounce just to you first. I mean, if I could pick a move for him, it'd be Brighton. I think they're a phenomenal club. I think their reputation for dealing with talent, young talent, is phenomenal. Is this a signing that you can see happening? And if so, what do you think Harvey's going to bring to Brighton, and what do you think Brighton could do for Harvey in return?
I think he'd be an automatic starter, wouldn't he, at Brighton? Obviously, a friend of ours, Mark, who's a big Liverpool fan, who's also from Brighton, he said he's heard a few things down there of his name mentioned a few times. I personally haven't heard any on Brighton myself, but I can imagine a club that would be very interested as them. He'd fit them very well, wouldn't he? Do you know what I mean? And he'd go in there as one of their best players. Harvey Elliott's a top player. It's just that Liverpool are a fucking elite team, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And he's done great things. It'll be hard for him to leave Liverpool as well, but it also shows the fella that he is willing to leave to go and get some game time and, progress in his career, because he's a fucking boyhood Liverpool fan. Do you know what I mean? So it would be very difficult for him to go. But out of all the teams, I think they'd be the favoured one for him personally. He's from down that way anyway, isn't he? So I'd heard Wolves were really pushing for him, but I just don't know. There's rumours that I'd heard that him and his dad were at their training ground and stuff like that. But obviously, it doesn't seem like that's the one for him. I think he wants a better team. And let's be honest, when they're on their A game, Brighton are a cracking team to watch, and he will suit that team. He definitely would. I think it'd be a great move for him. Because I don't think he fancied the abroad stuff, because he could have went to Leverkusen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew, it wouldn't surprise me if we do, mate. It wouldn't surprise. It'd be an expensive one, because I think he'll go for quite an expensive initial outlay. But it would not surprise me. He's another one that's got a funny dad, isn't he? If anyone's seen that Jurgen Klopp documentary on Amazon, his old man's a funny fella. I was just saying, Badger, we'll get to number 9 talk, but you seem to have a real problem with Ekatike. I'm excited to know why that is. Rick, I hate the Harvey Elliott situation. Because I love him. I know we all do on the pod. I know all of us that talk on WhatsApp love Harvey Elliott. He's such a wonderful kid, and he just looked destined for the top, didn't he? He got that proper twat of an injury earlier up in Slot's, reign at Liverpool, and I think it genuinely couldn't have come at a worse time. Right during the busy period that was coming up, would have got game time. He wasn't available. Why has it not worked for him under Slot the last 12 months? What's happened there? Why do you think that Slot is happy to let him move on?
Do you know what I think his biggest issue is? He lacks a yard or two of pace. If he had a little bit more pace, he'd be an unbelievable player. He's just, when you watch him play, it's like he's running in cement sometimes. Like, he's a good dribbler of the ball, he's a good passer of the ball. He scored bangers for us as well, but it's just that pace that kills. Because what's his position? He's not a right wing because he's not quick enough.
His position is where Florian Wirtz is going to play.
Exactly, yeah. Where him and Szoboszlai play. He's not a centre midfielder because he's too deep. He can't dictate the play from there. It's just his pace. His pace has killed him at Liverpool, I think. And, Slot like someone that can run around in Szoboszlai. I just don't think Elliott can do it. Like, there's athleticism, and it's just not there. But it is a good plan. I hope he gets the move he deserves to get, because he is a top player. I hope he don't go to a team that are struggling and stuff like that. I hope he can get to a team that's got European ambitions. I would have liked to see him in a different country. I think in the German league, he would have done superb there. The Spanish league as well. Italian league, the pace is a bit slower, but yeah, I wish him all the best. Hopefully we get a decent fee from him. Hopefully he can kick
I
on.
don't think he'll have an issue getting a good fee for
No,
that.
no.
50 million, don't be surprised.
I also don't think there'll be a buyback in there. No team will agree that if they buy him.
I don't actually think Liverpool
Want one.
Potentially, because I just don't think they'd go back for him.
No, but if you got Wirtz, what's the point?
But the thing is, they may go for a sell-on as opposed to a buyback.
Salon's a good shout. Yeah, Salon's a good shout. Yeah, I mean, he was discussed in the Leverkusen deal, but by all accounts, I think him and his family want to stay in the UK, which is understandable.
Yeah,
it's not going to suit everyone moving abroad. So I think, I arguably he could even go high. And this is no disrespect to Brighton, but I think arguably he's got the potential to play for a better team. It just needs to be a system that suits him. It's not that he hasn't got the quality. You know, he's absolutely got the quality to play for a top team, but you know, Liverpool just obviously play a system that's just not going to suit him. And
Fulham will get money out of the deal as well.
Yeah,
what are we selling for?
Yeah,
but you got to remember he could go to better things. You know, eventually I wouldn't be surprised to see him as someone like Spurs or something. I know they've had a shite season.
That's who I thought.
But Brighton would be a good thing for him to get into Brighton. Yeah. 2 years. He needs fucking 2 years playing constantly.
Yeah.
Because he will improve. He's a cracking player. Like I just said, I don't know whether Liverpool will get a buyback on him, but ultimately, you know, there's probably players in there at Brighton seeing that Liverpool could be looking to look at in the next few years. But later is a name, but you've got to keep him with Brighton because they always have good players coming into the fold. Look at McAllister, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a quick one. I won't bounce this to you lads because we'll move on pretty quickly. But unless you lived under a rock, Florian Wirtz is a Liverpool player. He was announced on Friday. Obviously, this is going to, as we mentioned, going to play a huge part in Harvey looking to move on. What a phenomenal signing that is. I don't think I've ever experienced a day on Liverpool Twitter where so much anticipation for a signing was there. I mean, I certainly haven't felt like that since Virgil van Dijk. It feels like a lifetime ago. Unbelievable. Absolutely. I just cannot wait to see him in the door for pre-season game one. I cannot wait. But fantastic news, obviously, Wirtz is a Liverpool player. Now, that is going to have ramifications, for other players. We talk about, Harvey going. Could potentially have ramifications for the attacking unit as a whole. So, look, some more news that came out today. And listen, I am going to cover this not with a pinch of salt, but with a large dose of salt because it's come from, obviously, Christian Falk, who, no disrespect, I think isn't the greatest with regards to reliability. But he's shown out there that Bayern Munich, as we know, are whoring himself out to the market at the moment on the left wing with regards to, I think, anyone and everyone that's ever played left wing. The latest two names, obviously, Cody Gakpo has been mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Lucho, obviously, Luis Diaz was a name that was mentioned by him today. I mean, look, the Luis Diaz one, Ben, we know Diaz is probably up for sale, right? Regardless of what the club has done with the Barcelona inquiry, I think that was more to do with time wasting. We know Luis Diaz is up for sale this summer at the right price. Can you see Bayern Munich come in with the money that Liverpool are going to want for Luis Diaz? Do you think that's a reliable link? Do you think it's a lazy link? Can you see it?
I could see them giving the 70 mil because they couldn't pay the 100 million for Wirtz, could they? So I'm sure they could get 60, 70 together for Diaz. But for me, it's a pointless move for him. And I see him staying at Liverpool if that's the case. What is the point of him going from fucking Liverpool to Bayern Munich? Do you know what I mean? There's only one move in his head, and that's Barcelona. So if something comes through there, it remains to be seen. But, if he's going to leave Liverpool and it's not going to be Barcelona, he'll probably go Saudi because he'll just get all the money in the world. What's the point of the go to fucking Bayern Munich? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's what Doug said. I don't know if you mean both. I don't think they're trying to sign both, if that's what you mean. I think it's one or the other. But I think Cody Gakpo was the other one, mentioned, Rick, and it's been there for a couple of weeks. I cannot see Cody Gakpo leaving Liverpool. In my opinion, I don't think Liverpool have any appetite to sell him. I don't think he has an appetite to leave. He's obviously just had a little one as well. So that's going to obviously contribute to probably him being settled. I mean, the Gakpo one's lurked for a couple of weeks. 70 million, again, is the number touted. Could you see Cody or Diaz go into Bayern Munich?
No. But if one did go, I'd rather it be Diaz. But I don't see. I think Barcelona want a younger. Bayern Munich want a younger player. Like I don't know. Christian pulled out about 40 left wingers on Twitter earlier. I can't see Liverpool wanting to entertain any offers that ain't close to what they want. They don't want to be messed around. If you want Diaz, you've got to pay 70, 80 million for him. I think that's what Liverpool are looking for. Gakpo is, for me, should not be even considered being sold. I think his ceiling's higher for me. I think next couple of seasons, Gakpo could be absolutely world class. I love him. I think he's great on that left hand side. So, tell Bam to go somewhere else.
Yeah, Omar Romano says a lot of things, my mate. Anything in specific that you were referring to?
No, can I just interrupt on one thing with regards to the left winger side of things? I've said to you a few, on the previous show, Liverpool got offered the money for them. I don't think they stand in the way.
I don't think there's
because I think Liverpool know that they can easily replace a fair few players if they have to. Do you know what I mean? They've had no issues replacing left backs. I know one got older, but you got to remember them two players. They weren't on Michael Edwards' watch, were they?
Yeah. Gakpo was a funny one. It did have a lot of Pep Lijnders mark on that signing. And I think he's worked out brilliantly for Liverpool, by the way. What his ceiling is, I don't know. I think he's a lovely striker of the football. I think he's such a pure striker of the ball. He seems to be able to carry the ball well. He looks faster than I think he is because he's a tall kid, isn't he? So I think it's more of a longer stride than being pacey. Luis Diaz, it's a funny one with Luis Diaz because you look at his statistics and he's up there, if not the statistical best left winger in the world. Maybe Rafinha, I don't know if he counts as a left winger. But, you also have to acknowledge the business side of it, that he is 28. This is going to be the prime year to cash in on him. But I think from Luis Diaz's perspective, the Barcelona move has obviously been him and his old man's dream move, hasn't it? They're South American, as we know from history, unfortunately. South Americans crave to play in Spain. That is obviously gone now. Nico Williams looks like he's going to be Barcelona's new left winger. So that does leave Saudi or a Germany move. I can't see Luis Diaz really kicking up a stink for a Bayern move. I just don't think it's going to give him anything.
I don't think it'll move the needle for him.
No, it's the Saudi one. I think again, there's even we've heard whispers that even that doesn't really do it for him. The money would be astronomical, and I think they would certainly have Liverpool's appetite for a fee from Saudi. But again, apparently he's not really interested in that. So it's certainly an interesting one. I think there's still a lot of moving parts in this attacking unit. I think the right hand side is the only bit that's really safe with Salah and obviously Frimpong playing backup. Rick, I'll ask you about the two number 9s as well. The Darwin Núñez one, did Liverpool get that one a bit wrong in January? They got offered what apparently was quite a substantial amount of money for Darwin Núñez. And if reports are to be believed and some whispers on social media, he had one foot out the door. He was due to be in the squad for PSV in the Champions League. He was pulled illness, was the official line. But obviously whispers were that it was because a move to Saudi was set to materialise. Liverpool apparently had sounded out Victor Osimhen as a replacement, and then it fell through anyway. Should Liverpool have taken that money in January? And do you think they're looking back at it with a little bit of regret now? Because that Saudi interest is not really materialising, is it?
I don't think it was as real as what was made out. I think there might have been conversations about what would we want for him, stuff like that. But, I mean, if reports are to be true that he's going to go Napoli for 35 to 40 million, it's a bit of a loss, isn't it? Like, we paid 71 million at the minute.
It's going to be a loss, though, lad, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know it's always going to be a loss, but I thought there might have been a little bit more of a bit of damage control. But you see the video with Diaz and Núñez when they were laughing about Saudi money in that little interview thing they did. Like, so you thought, easily you could chip Núñez off to Saudi easily. But I mean, that Al Hilal who have been after Osman all summer to try and get him the club, like they're that desperate for Osman. Like they're that desperate to stay away from Nunes by offering the kitchen sink at Osman. Because like, but I've seen people say that we should give Chiesa and Nunes to Napoli and get Osman in. No. And then there was talk about they want 16 mil on top of them two going there as well. I mean, wow. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Nunes because there's not many suitors out there for him, and we might get stuck with him for another year.
Yeah, Ben, I want to throw this comment at you from Dr. Feelgood. I think Liverpool would genuinely be content with Diaz doing 2 years and leaving. The outlay that we got him for was a steal, wasn't it? If you remember back to January a few years back, it was a ridiculously reasonable fee.
Wasn't it 36 mil or something?
Yeah, it was very low. I don't think Liverpool, obviously, Dr. Figo, we don't point this out, we don't want to sell Diaz. He's on a low wage, absolutely correct. 28 years old, correct. And they'll only sell if they get a good offer, also correct. The thing is, it's going to be important is the replacement, isn't it? It's going to be if there's an adequate replacement for Luis Diaz and they can make double the fee, you go win-win. Liverpool are not just going to sell Diaz for a fee to bring in a lower level replacement, are they? So here's my question to you is, who would Liverpool look at a left wing? Who would they bring in? If Saudi came with a 70 million offer, Liverpool do the deal, we celebrate the fee, go great, we doubled the money. Who did Liverpool go and get?
It's tough, isn't it? Because they've got another fucking player in a certain club that they'd be interested in. Obviously, Gordon was 100% legitimate. Nearly joined Liverpool, to be honest. We won't know the full ins and outs as to why the deal didn't go in. I know we've had our little snippets of it, but I don't know. I would still see. I'd still have Gordon at Liverpool, but with regards to the Diaz situation, it is a really difficult one. I think something's got to really be attractive for them to let him go. I think because I don't think the left winger side is too attractive at the minute. When you look in the market, we've got two of the best ones, in my opinion, who are consistently now scoring goals for Liverpool. What were they on? 17 goals all season each. Mm-hmm. So realistically, you don't need to fucking be replacing them. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, they're over the goals. Yeah. So at the end of the day, what he's just that comment you just told me before was spot on. They don't need to just rush and sell him. His wages are low, and he's too valuable to just give him away. So either pay up or fuck off.
Do you know, I think the Diaz situation is your prime example of when it's just a shiny new toy.
Offers too much to just let him fucking fizzle out on a low price. What's the point?
Yeah, I think that's change for the sake of change. I think that is when people are getting a bit excited by the transfer news, and it's just, we can get a new left winger in, because Nico Williams is a good player. Rafael Leao, I mean, he's okay, but the Fofana kid is obviously one but he's still raw, so you're not going to put him in that conversation yet. Obviously, Rafinha is probably the only one really in Europe that you'd look at, and obviously
he's older though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so now.
Yeah, he's 28, I think he is.
I think same age Rafinha, similar age. Yeah. Obviously, Kvaratskhelia, he was the one. But again, I think if you're going to get Florian Wirtz,
it's too similar.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think we'll have to wait and see. But I'm not massively.
I'm a fan of Diaz, and I get the shit that people say goes up and down. He's consistently inconsistent at times, which I understand. However, let's say, for instance, we put Ekatike in Liverpool's side, right, as the number 9. Let's just use that.
Padre will have you if you do that.
Whatever. Fuck it, if you feel like that. But I'm just saying, as an example, who wouldn't be excited to watch Liverpool with fucking Diaz, Wirtz, and Salah behind that number 9?
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's just Liverpool fans that have just got it in for Diaz a bit. I get it with the age thing and what I've just said to you before. But I have people telling me who are opposition fans going, why do you want to sell him? He terrifies teams. When he's on it, he's ridiculous. And I'd happily keep him. I've seen the Barcola names and all that shit. Do I think the real? No. And, you got the young kids. What's the kid at Monaco? His name's popped up. He's in France, isn't he, Fofana? Yeah, sorry. Which other teams here? Leon, yeah. They're not the same. So then you're pinning all your hopes on Gakpo. And look, there's fans in our fan base that wouldn't even have Gakpo starting. So then what do you do? So I think if they've got the option to keep Diaz or a silly offer comes in, then it's worth talking about. Up until then, he is still Liverpool's best left winger.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well, it's the money doesn't go into our back pocket, right? And it's not really down to fans to have to strategically work out whether we need the revenue in to be able to sign players. Liverpool, the money in the game now to be successful and win trophies, which Liverpool are doing and compete in these competitions. And Liverpool will always have excess players to sell for big money because the brand's behind them and they're always going to have it. The need to have to sell Luis Diaz to reinvest in a player for a different position, a la Coutinho, I don't think that exists anymore. So just from a basic fan perspective, I would rather have Luis Diaz in the Liverpool team next year to go and win another title than celebrating the fact that we doubled his fee. I didn't get any of his fee. His fee's not going to score a 90th minute winner to win the title, is it? So the thing is with Luis Diaz as well, they're talking about a versatile forward, which we'll go on to in a sec, but he is versatile. Luis Diaz can play obviously off the left. He can do a job as through the middle, and he's done a job off the right. Why pull that out for someone that might be able to do the same but at a little bit of a lower? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's weird, them two off the left-hand side. And on the stats, is Diaz not improving every year at the minute with Liverpool?
This is his best season in the last couple. I think this is everyone moaned about his output, like his goals and his assists. And this year, mate, I think if you're looking at the forwards we've had this season, only three double digits. There's not many in Europe who've got double digits.
What we got on this deal? Is it 2 years?
Yeah, 2027.
Yeah, so you keep him another year if you have to. And over the course of the year, that Rio kid will start coming into it. Because I think they're going to push him forward next year.
That's what I'm saying. You don't want a left winger coming in because it will just stunt his development.
Yeah, Sleepy Forest just said it there. And I think, this is why it would be, I'd be an advocate for keeping Luis Diaz. Because you bring a young kid in, for Fana, for example, listen, the deal may still happen, we don't know. But you're not signing that kid to sit on the bench for the next 5 years.
No.
You're going to be... So this is where you look at that and go, okay, well, what we need to do then is keep Luis Diaz and Cody Gakpo, and then we need to create that path for Rio to come through. And listen, if Rio doesn't cut the mustard and he's not good enough, you revisit it. But by all accounts, this kid is going to be special. It just seems like for the areas of the squad that Liverpool can improve that they haven't already, the left wing just isn't one of them. It just doesn't need to be touched. It's an unnecessary change for the sake of change. One area that definitely does need change is the number 9. So, look, the situation we're in at the moment, I think we've got two players that would both be absolutely for sale. Obviously, we just mentioned Darwin Núñez, and obviously there's Diogo, Jota as well. We'll go on to Jota in a second. Just to go back to what we said, Ben, obviously I asked Rick the question about the Saudi interest back in January. Liverpool were adamant, the journalists were adamant that Saudi would come back in for Darwin Núñez. It's not coming, is it? Listen, there's plenty of the window left, but the Napoli interest is real. We know that. Do Liverpool at this point in time, do you hold out in the hope that Saudi come in later? Or do you blink and just go, look, there's a legitimate interest in Darwin Núñez. It's an okay fee. Let's just get him out. If you were in charge of selling Darwin Núñez this window, what are you doing with this Napoli interest?
Yeah, I think, look, I'd be surprised if Darwin's come within the next 2 weeks, to be honest. Seems to be slow even with Napoli because they're obviously trying to get every penny together, which probably does Liverpool a favour. The problem with the Saudi thing is because the Club World Cup on, them teams who were interested, it's not as high thing for them now, do you know what I mean? Look, I think with Liverpool, it's like, if it just takes a little bit of time with Napoli, they won't be too bothered because I do think the Saudi clubs will still be interested. People keep talking about the Saudi thing as if one club's just interested. There's definitely a few of them who are going to be interested in them. But at the end of the day, it's like you just said, how long do you give it? Sometimes you've just got to go with the player's wishes, haven't you? He may really want this Napoli move, which I expect he probably does. I think it'd be a cracking move for him, with Conte there. Kevin De Bruyne's just gone there, so if he can't put it on a plate for him, fucking chef can't, do you know what I mean? Fuck me. So look, I do think the Napoli one probably is the one that's going to go forward, and sometimes you just got to go, just fuck it, just get him gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Rick, his sale is obviously going to influence Liverpool's ability to get the replacement.
Yeah.
I think we're in the game now where they've spent some great money, but they're going to have to recoup. They can't just, for PSR purposes, but they're going to have to, and I think rightly so. They're entitled to do that. Like I said, obviously Ekitike seems to be the realistic option. Obviously, we've got Alexander Isak there. Saudi are renowned for coming in late in the window. We saw it with the Salah deal. They've done it a couple of times. They seem to, I don't know if it's panic or I don't know if there's a strategy, whatever it may be. They do come in late. Can Liverpool afford to outlay for an Alexander Isak, for an Ekitike, and hope that Nunes comes good with Saudi at the end of the window? Or do you think they've got a limit on when they need to get him out of the door?
No, I think we can go spend on a striker with Nunes still at the club. If we're talking names, Ben knows there's only one person I want to come through the door, which is Isak. I think you can get him in before you get Nunes out the door, because Napoli are obviously, like Ben said, they're trying to get their money together for him, because obviously they didn't get a lot up front for. I'm not even going to butcher his name. The guy they signed in January, who's had an unbelievable Champions League with them. So yeah, I think we can hold off and wait to sell Nunes, even if we get a striker in.
Yeah, Ben, I'm going to throw that question at you. Do you think Liverpool can afford to move, or do you think they need to wait and see what they get for Darwin Nunes?
Look, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because obviously no one really knows the true value of what a deal for Isak would be. We've heard many figures banded about 130, 140, then 150. Some of the fucking fools said 200 the other day or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
And shite. So, look, at the end of the day, I think Liverpool have just got to do their business, getting rid of certain players first and foremost. The sooner they do that, the sooner they can focus on what they're going to do and which target they're going for. Look, we all know about the Isak stuff. He's the top target with the club. But that is not happening overnight. That could take time. So you're not going to just wait with Darwin Nunes. Get him done. And that's why I think Liverpool are shooting their targets out of the water at the minute. They want loads of business done because they want a free run at just that number 9. And then we'll see how it goes. Look, if Ekitike wants to hang around, then it's up to him. If not, then fair enough. Go and take another fucking club. Go and literally take another club. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you've got to bear in mind. I think if Liverpool were to go ahead and sign the number 9 ahead of moving on a player, I think clubs will cotton on to the fact that they need to get shot of Nunes. So I think the offers you get after they sign a 9 would actually be lower than beforehand. Also, I do think the problem with Saudi is they skew the market value of players in a big way. They obviously came in with a significant offer in January. Listen, Darwin Nunes isn't worth 75 million euros. He's just not. What Napoli are proposing are probably bang on his market value, if I'm being honest. So I think those are two things that you do have to take into consideration. But it's going to listen. I think the Napoli one happens. I think next week that ramps up. It's just whether or not Liverpool will utilise that for leveraging a deal with them, which obviously we'll kind of move on to now. Yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free. Oh. Yeah, we'll
pay them just to fucking keep him.
Okay, no, absolutely.
You know, with the news, just a quick one. Don't be surprised if Liverpool have a sell on in there for future money back off him.
I think so. Listen, I know we talk about Darwin Nunes in the heat of the moment. You call him all sorts, don't you? Darwin Nunes is not shit. He's not shit. He is just not an elite striker for Liverpool. He's in the right environment. He will look a player, i.e. Benfica.
He's weighed down by our shit, isn't he?
It's not happened for him, and I think by the time that Slot's come in, I think Slot had all of the potential in the world to improve him. I just think there was too much scar tissue there. The fan base have given him all the love in the world. I mean, if you go to Anfield, the fella will slide into the car park, and the cop will start chanting Nunes. We couldn't have given him more. It just hasn't happened. But look, obviously, the big question is, who's going to replace Darwin Nunes? Who's going to be Liverpool's number 9? So look, I'm going to float some names out there, and this is to you boys, to the chat as well. Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike, Victor Osimhen, Benjamin Sesko, Gonzalo Ramos. They're the 5 that I've seen Liverpool and heard Liverpool being linked with. Look, we'll touch the big one, Alexander Isak. That seems to be the one that Liverpool want to do, and I think Liverpool genuinely are serious about sounding out Isak for a move this summer. Luke was it Luke Hughes from the Telegraph said that 200 million quid, ridiculous. But Lee Ryder, very very good journalist on the Newcastle side, that said any club would struggle to turn down £150 million if it were offered. There was then a report that followed a couple of hours later from our side that said if Alexander Isak is open to a move, a transfer fee would not be an issue for Liverpool. Very much how the Florian Wirtz transfer started. Ben, look, there's no doubt this deal is probably got a 2-3 out of 10 chance of happening. It is a very tough deal. But it's not impossible, is it?
Oh, look, if Liverpool have got 1% chance, you've got to at least have a go. You can't just go and take you at the target. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Liverpool, you don't know what they're willing to do until you put something on the table to them. And by all means, his agent ain't going to be one to be fucked around with either. I do think he's the type that would cause a bit of a scene. Because he obviously wants a bit of a payday, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? You've got to be careful. Look, we've all thought he should have signed a deal by now. Where's that? You know what I mean? Where's this so-called deal? Bearing in mind, they've just got the Champions League. That could have been a thing, wasn't it? If we get the Champions League, we'll do a big contract for you. There's nothing been talked about. Look, the big thing is you've got to keep an eye on what they do. And Liverpool have just got to concentrate on what they're doing with the sales at the minute. If an opportunity opens up, you better believe Liverpool will be there. And I do think he is going to try and push it because, look, we've had the chat many times on here now about Isak. Look, it is a slim chance. But at the end of the day, it's still a chance. Anyone saying it's not going to happen ever? Well, you've got to remember, if he doesn't move to Liverpool this year, you'll have Arsenal buying their target this year. Then Liverpool would have bought their target. Where does he go? So then they may have this unbelievable forward on their hands. Where's all this money? Because eventually he's going to want to go. He's at Newcastle. Don't take this the wrong way, any Newcastle fans, if they're watching. Great club, but they are not Liverpool. They are not Liverpool Football Club. If Liverpool Football Club want him, they'll fucking get him out of there by hook or by crook. Whether it means it rolls to next year, fair enough, but they will get him if they desperately want him. Liverpool will move heaven and earth for the right player. I think that's been proved now. As soon as they caught wind, Florian Wirtz was willing to come, bang, done. I know it took a little bit of time in the eyes of people, but it is what it is when you go to them sort of astronomical figures. But this is a player that they've wanted for a long time. Michael Edwards has made the connections with him for a long, long time. So, look, it's going to be interesting. If they're not getting the intentions that he's willing to do anything to get this move, then Liverpool will move on. They're not fucking stupid. The fact that the links are still happening now, and it's the end of June going into July, what does that tell you?
Yeah, Rick, I want to ask you a question just generally about the number 9 market, because if you look at it, look at the bigger clubs in the Premier League. Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal. Those 4 clubs are all, I would say, desperate for a number 9. None of them have moved as of yet. Not one of them. You've had loose links with Kerkez to United and Arsenal. You've had Sesko to Arsenal, Ekitike, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. No movement. Absolutely none. Do you think that this is a case of who blinks first in this 9 market? Because the minute the trigger's pulled on one of them, the dominoes fall. Could be a transfer fee thing. There's lots of talk about the Sesko and Ekitike fees being too high. Could be that they're all waiting on a certain person. But there's a reason that this number 9 market isn't moving. What's your theory for that? And what do you think the first piece of the puzzle will be to get this merry-go-round going?
Me and Ben have spoken about it before. I think we're waiting to see what Arsenal do in that 9 market before. Because if we go sign Ekitike, we're giving them a free run at Isak if he is available. I'm not hearing any other names for Liverpool but Isak. For me, it's Isak. We've heard it's impossible. He's not for sale. we've had 2 journos from Newcastle. One still thinks Barella's signing for them this still. I don't know what his name, Luke something, whoever that was.
Yes.
And the other one said that regardless of who Newcastle are owned by and how much money these boys have, they will find it so hard to turn down 100 million up front for Isak from Liverpool because of PSR reasons. Newcastle ain't safe from PSR regardless of them getting Champions League. They're not. We might need Isak to have a little word with Newcastle to say that he wants to go to Liverpool. He's 26 in September. He signs this new deal at Newcastle, he's done. He won't get a big move. Unless he puts a release clause in there, Newcastle won't do that because obviously they'll put the 150 as a release clause in there. He won't sign this new deal. And I don't care, like I said, I don't care how much money these boys have got. They're not going to let Isak stay there for one more year because they will not get the same price next summer for him. He will be, I'm telling you now, Liverpool signed Isak this summer. I'm not asked.
You don't want a player that's not that fully committed either.
And like, there's a reason Ekitike is still on the market. I think Liverpool have maybe told him to hold off before he does something. Listen, why would you want to go Chelsea? I mean, it's an absolute circus there. But I generally think we sign Isak. I'm not willing to entertain any other names that we're linked with till it's absolutely ruled out. He comes out and says he's not leaving Newcastle.
You've got to that fire. Whoever, Mark, we talk about it with sales techniques for our other jobs, and at the end of the day, whoever blinks first loses, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the narrative from the journos has definitely changed. You know, it was not for sale to
impossible. No price tag.
Yeah, to 150 million. The bottom line is whether it's 500 million. What Newcastle have done is put a price tag out to the media. That's taken the player from unsellable to sellable, and that Liverpool will be attentive to that. But I want to put this comment up here. I don't think, just on the Isak thing, I don't think it's a secret. I don't think it's an in the know thing. I don't think it's exclusive information. If Liverpool could sign anyone this summer, it's Alexander Isak. And if Alexander Isak is available, Liverpool will try and do the deal. It's that simple. They've got money there to spend, and I think Liverpool will try and do the impossible. It's down to Newcastle, and I think their ability to check their availability on number 9 replacement. So there's lots of moving parts, a lot of money, difficult deal, but Liverpool will try and do it. Look, I want to ping this back because I think this is a very good point by Kieran. I mean, Sesko and Ekitike are the 2 kind of big project names in the market at the moment. Both at similar level clubs, both at similar levels in their career, both at similar transfer fees. This here is going to be the who blinks first. If Isak stays at Newcastle, Ekitike and Sesko are the 2 hottest prospects on the market. What and who blinks first, Ben, in this? Because this is Arsenal and Sesko, Liverpool and Ekitike. One sets the other's price. How does that play out?
I think Arsenal are in a position now where they can't fucking wait anymore. Have you seen the shit that the fans are saying now? They're kicking off about the Cronkies, kicking off the manager. Us buying our players has caused, and City as well, has caused these to lose patience. So the patience has run out. They can't wait. They're bringing in Zubimendi, who probably still shitting himself to move. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of his time papers or not. Liverpool are in a very good position. You know, at the end of the day, we've signed most of our business already. So we're down to the 1 or 2 left, aren't we? Or like we've just spoke about the left winger, but until then, nothing changes, do they? So, look, it'll be the Sesko one that started first. The Osman links come up. I don't believe that one bit, to be honest, with Liverpool. But I just see that all snowballing, Darwin going, Napoli, like we just said, Osman, Saudi, you'll have Sesko, Arsenal. Ekitike still linked with, fucking United, Chelsea. Why haven't they also moved on it just yet? Do you know what I mean? No one's done anything. So, it's going to be an interesting time. I think Liverpool aren't even that arsed at the minute. They've got other things they're working on. So let them all kickstart and we'll see. Because if them prices drastically drop, Liverpool will be saying to Newcastle, we'll fucking liven up.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The one, you kind of already answered it, but I'll touch on the rumour that's come out because it's actually come from quite a reputable Napoli source. Rick, I'll throw this to you because obviously, Ben, you've just made your feelings clear. They're obviously interested heavily in Chiesa and Darwin Núñez, and the rumour banded about is that Liverpool have asked for Victor Osimhen in return. Look, I'm not going to get into the financials of it because I know we spoke off air about this and them asking for money on top. Leave that to the side for a minute. Just as an incoming, would you be open to seeing Liverpool bring, a Victor Osimhen in? If Isaac is off the cards and it's just not happening, and you're looking at the market and you've got your project players, and then Osimhen is an option, would you be open to Osimhen coming into Liverpool?
If he says, never happening, Osimhen's the next one. I mean, we want to win league titles now. Ekitike is a long term. I know, we've got players behind him, but we want to win things now. You bring in someone who's proven. So he'd be the alternative that's ready to go now. For me,
yeah, I would agree. I know there's a ripple in the kind of football world that he's a bit of a dick, but one thing I will say is that if he signs for Liverpool Football Club, he's not a dick because they won't buy him. So yeah. I think if you're looking purely on numbers and purely on performance and purely on realistic options that actually give Liverpool an opportunity to score goals, I'm taking Victor Osimhen over your Sesco's and your Ekitike's.
Yeah, 100%.
I think he's more.
Why has no one fucking jumped at it straight away though?
Same with all the nines, though, isn't it? None of the nines.
For about fucking 5 years, it seems.
No, but do you know what it is? Everyone thought he was a money grabber, but he's turning down £1 million a week, so he can't be that.
But he's still asking about 300 grand a week, isn't he?
Yeah, the problem is he's not stupid. He knows that he's a top 9, and he knows
the market. He knows he's in the market where it ain't top.
Yeah, and he knows there's shitheads out there that will be doing half the job he can do and asking for 200 grand a week. So why not? If there's one position,
whatever Liverpool do, they've got my trust.
Yeah, I think if there's any position in a team that you're going to pay big dough to, it's a number 9. And I think what Liverpool would do is it would be what they always do. They'd give him a good basic and they'd incentivize it and they'd challenge him and they'd put the onus on him and say, if you're really going to come in and score, towards that 25 goals a season, you'll get paid big bucks. But we're not just going to hand it to you. You earn it. So I think if the Osimhen deal happens, you've got to be excited because it means Liverpool have done the personality test. They've structured a deal that suits them. So we'll wait and see on that one. But another one I want to throw to both of you. Do you see a scenario this year where Liverpool don't sign a number 9? And I ask you that because we know Liverpool will not sign someone for the sake of it, especially at the numbers being banded around in that number 9 market. Could you see a scenario where Liverpool get a sniff that Isak's available next year, so they sit on it? Rick, I'll come to you first.
Núñez has to stay there.
To keep Núñez?
Yeah, I'll keep Núñez. If we're not moving on the striker, you've got to keep Núñez.
Ben?
Fucking hell, I'd sooner have me up front than Darwin. No. I think Liverpool have gone past that now of waiting for shit. I think when you wait on things like we have done over the years, you allow others to, to gain momentum. Liverpool will sign a striker this year.
Okay, interesting. Right, I'll throw it to you. Quick fire answer then. So, number 9, I asked you this last pod. I'll ask you again. Realistic, so not who you want. Who will Liverpool get in that number 9 position?
Isak.
Ben? Realistic.
I know. Realistic. Ekitike.
I think Ekitike. But I've got this weird feeling. I've got this weird feeling about Osimhen. I can't shake it.
I don't know who that journalist is that you're going on about, lads, to be honest. But look, at the end of the day, if he is the one, like you said, they've done the due diligence, they're happy with it. There is no question about it. He's a goal scorer. And I think he's the fucking player Arsenal should be going for, really, Osimhen.
I mean, Arsenal are just fucking weird. I don't know what they're doing. Just Arteta's got a fetish with defensive players. I don't know. I'll throw one more at you. Ollie Watkins.
No.
I would if we had the guarantee that Isaac was coming to Liverpool next year, get rid of Darwin, I'd throw Ollie Watkins for 30 million. Ollie Watkins would score more goals than Darwin Núñez at Liverpool.
Yep.
Yeah, if you could guarantee me Isak next summer, I'd take
That's what I've
Watkins.
just said,
Yeah, I'd do
That's
that.
an example.
Yeah.
You could
my
put
fault.
it there.
Yeah, I would
Well,
say
what?
it's a temporary. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, that's my fault, Rick. As a temporary option.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, it wouldn't be a bad fucking Ivan Toney. Fuck, you know.
Been a few
No.
Tony mentions there.
I don't know, I wouldn't have him anywhere near it.
John Duran as well.
He runs like he's fucking running through pigs.
He'd be too busy doing his accumulator while we're trying to score goals.
He's already told me his mentality by doing that Saudi move. I would have taken Ivan Toney at the point he left Brentford. I wouldn't take him. Any of those players for me, and this is why I actually have that little bit of love for Osimhen, is that, yes, he went to Galatasaray, who, by the way, that's being looked at as a move down. And I understand what people are saying, but they're looking at making some serious moves. I don't know if they've had some investment. I don't know what's going on with Galatasaray, but they are trying to head-to-head with Saudi on some of these players. They've just got Leroy Sané. Say what you want about that signing and where he's at his career, Leroy Sané. Bayern Munich wanted to extend him, and Arsenal wanted him, and he's chosen Galatasaray. So something's happening there. So, I just think the most sensible option is Victor Osimhen. I think as long as he isn't the helmet that we've heard he is, I think the fact that he's turned down the Saudi move, he put his ego at the door to go to Galatasaray and play football rather than sitting on the bench at Napoli when they swerved him at the last minute. I think the fact that he just scores goals. I just think, the fact that we've got assets. Yeah.
30 games, 26 goals. Not bad, is it?
No. And his injury records, I mean, someone might correct me, but I don't think he's got a horrific injury record.
No, it's just when he just wears the face mask all season. That's the only injury he's got. And I think he broke his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he plays that well with a face mask, I don't know what he's
That John Duran one, that annoys me as well, because he's another fucking idiot who went for money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, again, John Duran, when he left Villa, yes, he would be a player that would have interested me. But you have to question the mentality of players like that are happy to go to a lesser league and just take the money. I don't knock, these kids for it. He's a young kid. Most of them come, from backgrounds where they don't have money. They've got families to support. I get it. But Liverpool are building an elite team of killers. Yeah. We need people that want to win trophies, not earn money.
But ain't they got to be there for 3 years to get the money?
I think
tax-free.
I think the tax implication stuff there is. Yeah, I think the problem is a lot of them don't actually know what they're signing up to.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. I think they see the figures that we see, and they go, "Whoa, fucking hell! 300 grand a week tax free." Jordan Henderson's a prime example of it. Went over there, and within 6 months, he was trying to come back home again, and he actually ended up giving his wages up to come back home because it's. I mean, look, you see what they're curious, but they're paying Leroy Sané 300 grand a week. So Galatasaray is obviously coming to some dough. So I think that Galatasaray move is actually aging quite well for Victor Osimhen, if I'm being honest.
They're desperate to stay, aren't they? They've had all banners up in the stands and everything, haven't they?
But I mean, even that. I mean, you talk about it. He's taken Napoli to a league title, and he's taken Galatasaray to a league title. You can't ignore stuff like that. When you're looking for
we get down the middle is going to score a bundle of goals.
Darwin Núñez.
Nah. Look, the thing is, to be a Liverpool. See, this is the thing. What Liverpool probably are considering with like the likes of Ekatike. Has he got what it takes to lead the line for Liverpool? Because it takes a serious thing. The one thing I'd say about the Osimhen thing, right? He'd have the bollocks to want to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He would have that swagger about him. Isak, he'd take it within his stride, no problem at all. It's just one of them. Look, no one knows how it's going to end. The likeliest thing is probably Ekatike. The prime choice is obviously Isak. But obviously, I don't know because I've not really heard any of myself, or I haven't really paid too much attention with that Napoli thing. I know you said it was a good source. I don't know who it was myself, but look, Osimhen's one of the best priced ones. Put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, the rumor was, for people that haven't seen it, the rumor wasn't it come from I've been told it's a reputable source in Napoli. Is that obviously Napoli have got interest in Federico Chiesa and Darwin Núñez. and that Liverpool have asked for Victor Osimhen in return. He's got a £64 million release clause. Now, Laurinaitis is, I mean, we talk about Steve Parish over here. Laurinaitis at Napoli is a pain in the arse. You know, people will put, I mean, that could be a reason Osimhen hasn't moved, Ben, is actually the sporting director at Napoli. Anyone...
Clause is different, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would recommend, when anyone hasn't watched it, there's a documentary. So I was going off on a tangent a little bit, but there's a documentary on Amazon about Maradona and when he was at Napoli, and you understand how Napoli is run and how much I'll call them locals have an input on the way that Napoli is run, and that is a big reason why people do struggle to get players from Napoli when they're not actively for sale. But yeah, he's basically asking for the two players and £17 million on top of Chiesa and Darwin Núñez, which he's in fucking dream world, if you ask me. I think the two players in Osimhen the other way would be a fine deal for both clubs. They obviously you can't tout a player for sale for 18 months and then try and play hardball. It doesn't work. You know, it doesn't fucking work. As Sleepy Forest said, yeah, give Osimhen or piss off, piss taker. One name that's come up actually before we sign off, and that people have been messaging about, friends of the pod, is just regards to Ben Doak. So again, obviously, I apologise. I didn't put his name in the podcast for today. Gone under the radar. He's had a very, very good season in the Championship, Ben Doak. Palace inquired for him actually, so I wonder if maybe there's something to be done there with Marc Guehi. But look, Ben Doak, lads. I mean, the Everton interest has been documented as well. Do you see Ben Doak as having a future with Liverpool, Ben?
No. There's a few of them kids that are just not good enough. At the end of the day, mate, if you're good enough, you're old enough. You see what it was like with the likes of Harvey Elliott come on the scene. He was around the first two straight away. And if they're not in and around it, mate, they're obviously not good enough, are they? And look at the players they've got to go up against, mate. So for their sake, go. Yeah, agreed. Rick, Ben Doak, future at Liverpool?
No. I think that ACL injury killed him. Hopefully we can get the 30 mil that's quoted for him. But, he ain't got a future, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he got 30 mil for him.
Oh, yeah, it is Edwards, though, isn't it? And Hughes.
I think
they're only getting 30 million for Quansah, aren't they? He's played first team football.
Yeah, Cavalier, we got 27 million for it. He was, yeah.
I think the best contribution Doak will make, I don't mean this disrespectfully, will be, I think he'll be used as a significant make weight in a deal for either Brantwaite or Marc Guehi, would be my guess. I don't know, see, before it seems to be just high intensity, too many minutes, I think.
That's one thing that Conor Bradley's got to be careful of.
100%, yeah. We'll look at. I'll tell you what, Steve. I'll make a promise that we'll look into that and try and come up with some sort of answer for the next pod on that one, because that's a very good question. But look, lads, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you boys and the chat all night. I mean, we've done an hour and 45. My laptop is making this room an absolute sweat fest. So I think we'll sign it off there with the number 9 chat. Look, I think. Listen, we're going to, like I said, apologies for the postponement over the weekend. I had a few issues, technical issues and whatnot. But look, we are committing to making sure that there's going to be regular podcasts coming out, lots of content coming out, and it's going to be a seriously busy couple of weeks and couple of months for Liverpool in the transfer market. We're going to react to the news. We're going to react to stuff that we hear, and we're going to try and bring you some news that we've heard behind the scenes as well. So please do keep an eye on the page. Again, final like, comment, and subscribe. I can't thank you enough for the reaction. I mean, we're on episode 3, and the live viewers, the numbers we're getting, we honestly couldn't ask for more. So thank you ever so much. We hope you've enjoyed the interactivity as well that we try and provide. We try and communicate with all of you as much as we can, and we're open to ideas. If there's anything you guys want to see, obviously our Twitter handles are here: Ben, Rick, and obviously the Red or Alive TV Twitter. You can get hold of them. Drop us a comment. But failing that, lads, as always, thank you ever so much. Ben, I know it's probably getting a little bit late for you at the moment, but thank you ever so much, guys, for jumping on. Thank you, chat, for the interaction. It's been a pleasure. And we will see what next week brings. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.